Class is in session. First thing I want to know from all of you is, are you having a good time? Yeah! Is it good? Great to have you here. Great to have the alumni back. This is a rough sketching class. Now that means that when we draw somebody like this, we're going to start with the very basic shapes and then build on those shapes and carve out of them until we've got what we want. And did you notice nobody has an eraser on their pencil? Keep this in mind, because here's what you need to do. Draw lightly at first. Don't push real hard on your pencil. Make heavy dark lines right away. If you make a mistake, you can't erase. But if you draw lightly and make a mistake, you can easily just touch it up, and then you're just going to darken in or lock in, as we like to say, the good lines, and you're going to have a wonderful drawing of old Tigger. Let's sit right over here, huh? There you go. All right, we're going to start by finding the middle of our page, okay? I like to look at that big piece of paper in front of me and just go, it's right about there. And I'll put a little belly button just that I can barely see, but that's going to help me find where I need everything to go. Now we're going to start with an oval, and an oval is a rounded shape. Whether you're drawing an oval or a circle, the process is the same. Everybody put your hand up like this. Hold up your pencil. When you draw circles or ovals, you just want to let your shoulder roll around. Don't move your wrist at all. Let your shoulder do the work. Now I'm going to put it with the bottom of it right underneath that little belly button, and I'm going to go up like this, like a big egg laying on its side. See that? See how I'm just butterfly kissing that paper, just dark enough to see, but not so dark that it's going to get in the way of my final drawing. And I can go around about 12, 13, 14, 15 times, and then I'll just build on the lines that look good and let the other stuff fade into the background. That's what rough sketching is all about. Now, we're going to put down some guidelines straight through the middle of this from top to bottom. So I think the middle is right about here. Very lightly again, I'm going to bring a straight line so I end up with a potato on a stick, basically. That's kind of what that looks like to me. And next up, we can start drawing in another guideline, but this one's going to go right through the middle from side to side. So just from here to there, just like that. Try to get that as centered as you can. We'll start with his ears, okay? And they're going to start just above that line that we just drew. Right over here on this side, I'm going to go up and out with this little curved line. And then let's do the same thing over here. I want a matching set. That's looking pretty equal. I'm going to grab onto the end of this one now and bring it down with a nice curve that comes right down underneath that crossing line. Just like that. There's an ear right there. Let's do that over on this side too. Yep, that looks pretty good. I'm going to go ahead now and commit. I'm going to go ahead and lock those in and make those ears a permanent drawing of old Tigger here. What a wonderful character from the Winnie the Pooh stories. He was a part of the original Winnie the Pooh stories as written by the wonderful A.A. Milne, great English writer, over 100 years ago. Wrote these stories, and they were very popular in England and Europe, but not so much in America. Walt Disney discovered them, used to read them apparently to his young daughters when they were growing up. They loved them, and so he bought the rights, and in the early 1960s started turning them into short films with the intention of eventually taking all these short films and putting them together in one big long film called the Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, which you can see on Disney Plus. Shameless plug. Let's go ahead and draw some inner lining to those ears just by putting a curve that kind of matches the one above it. Right? That'll show like a seam because he is a stuffed animal, and a little wrinkle, just a little curve in each one like that. There we go. That looks pretty good. Now that we got that in place, we can start working on his nose. Now we're going to do a smaller version of that rolling around thing, but this time I'm just going to plant my hand right next to that, where those two lines cross each other, and I'm going to start it actually just under the oval, but I want it to go up to that crossing guideline. I'm going to draw very lightly and very sketchily in this nice big circle thing, quite messy, but that's okay. I'm going to clean this up. I'm going to flatten it out a little bit on the top. It still have a curve to it, but it's going to be a little more flattened out. And it's going to be kind of three-sided. It's going to look like a big strawberry or acorn. The bottom of it is going to come down right under the bottom of our original oval, like that. Bring it on up. Yep, that's looking all right. We'll get that locked in, just like that. There we are. Okay, I like the way that looks. So now, we're ready to draw in his chin. Now, he's one of those characters that's large and in charge, right? An A-type personality, if ever there was one. And quite often we'll give these characters these long, strong lantern jaws, big chins. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go right under this ear and I'm just going to draw a little bit of the curve of his head on both sides. But from that point down, I'm going to measure that oval. It's about that wide. Boom. This is going to be how far his chin comes down. So now I'm going to come down like this, very lightly, bring it over to that point. Now I'm looking at that space. I'm going, that is about that wide. That means boom, boom, boom. And so that's going to help me because I want it to be very even on both sides. And I'm looking at that center guideline thinking, yeah, pretty close. Close enough for government work, right? There we go. As they say. That looks good. I'm going to go ahead and get that locked in now too. There we are. That's right. Now A.A. Milne wrote these stories for his young son. Anybody know what his name is?
Christopher.
Christopher Robin. Correct. There really was a Christopher Robin. A.A. Milne's son. Alan Alexander had a son named Christopher Robin. And he had a whole bunch of stuffed animals in his nursery. And when Alton started writing stories about these characters and their adventures, he added a few real animals, including a rabbit and an owl. And the rest, as they say, is literary history. Let's go ahead and go up to the top of his nose now, and we're going to create a separation between this part of his face and the upper part of his face by bringing a curve from the nose down there to the side of his chin on both sides. Just like that. That looks good. And it's going to help us draw in his smile. Because halfway in between here, right there, and halfway here, I'm just going to bring a curve down that matches the one above it, the bottom of his nose, and bring it around to the other side, just like that. Now he's got a smile. And that's looking pretty good, so I'll go ahead and get that locked in too. Now, for Walt Disney's purposes, he got, as he always did, just the most amazing people to be voices for these films. And in Tigger's case, it was a very, very well-known comedian and ventriloquist. His name was Paul Winchell. What a talented and amazing man Paul Winchell was. He used to have a kid show on when I was really young called The Winchell Mahoney Time. Mahoney was the name of his main dummy, Jerry Mahoney. And he also had some friends, Jerry did. One of them was named Knucklehead Smith, and Knucklehead used to go like that. And so I'm sure that Walt Disney watched Paul Winchell on TV and went, get that guy in here. I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know it for an absolute fact, but I just have a feeling. Now see how I'm making his open mouth kind of askew? It's kind of like leaning this way. They did that a lot in of the films. Animators would watch the people that were doing the voices. In this case, Paul Winchell, being a ventriloquist, tended to talk out of the sides of his mouth to hide the fact that he was speaking for the dummies. And he did that when he was regularly speaking a bit too. And so the animators would kind of give a askew smile to Tigger, kind of mimic Paul. Did you get that little line under his nose? That's called a filtro. That little line under an animal's nose. And I wanted to define that. We'll darken in that nose, but I don't want to do it yet because then my hand will be smudging it all over the place. It looks kind of funky right now. But we'll just leave it like that. And how's everybody doing so far? Pretty good? Okay. Well, that's awesome. Let's keep going then. Let's start, what should we do next? The eyes have it. Okay. So we're going to go up above his nose, and on either side of that center guideline, right here, 2 buttons, because he is a stuffed animal, not one of the real animals, like I mentioned, in the 100 Acre Wood. And so he's just got these buttons for eyes. But even if you have buttons for eyes, when they animate you, when they put you into a film, if a character, whether they're live action or animation, isn't blinking, it can end up a little bit like Jack Nicholson in The Shining, just kind of staring, like that. And we certainly don't want Tigger to do that, so we had to give him the ability to blink by giving him these little curved eyelids above and below. Very simple solution. So about every 10 or 12 seconds, he could blink his eyes and it would look natural. All right. Now we're going to get what we call a character mask. It doesn't show up so much on my friend here, but it shows, if you watch the films, there's definite separation around his eyes and the color. His cheeks are orange, down here on his chin it's yellow, and around his eyes it's yellow, and that would accentuate his eyes. So I'm going to go up just a little bit above the top of my oval there, and I'm going to go right here and just bring it down to the side of his eyes, this curve on both sides, just like that. Now grabbing onto that, I'm going to bring it down towards his nose, like this. Okay, so he's got this little visor on his face. It looks that way anyway. That looks good. But I'm going to head up here now and complete this as I draw in his eyebrows. Using that center guideline, I'm going to draw two big number ones on either side of it. And grabbing onto the top of this one, I'm going to bring it down till it merges with that line that we just drew a moment ago. So it comes to a point there. And when we draw this one in, it's going to have two big bouncy eyebrows. And if you don't believe me, go back and watch Winnie the Pooh and the Blustery Day, and you'll see how bouncy he is, even his eyebrows. When he starts that song, the wonderful thing about Tiggers, right? Everything is bouncing. His eyebrows jump up and down, and so does everything else. The tail and the feet, it all gets going. There we go. Let's make those nice and dark. There's that little bit of space there above it, in between the eyebrows. And it's safe to go ahead and just lock in the rest of his forehead now on either side thereof. All right, let's get those lines locked in. And now we're ready to draw in, well, you definitely need stripes. You can't be a Tigger without stripes, or a Tiger for that matter. And so we're going to start by putting one just above his smile here. Okay, it's kind of like a little finger pointing towards his eyes. And we'll do the same thing over here, so we have a match there on both sides, and we can darken that in. And then we're going to do the same thing again, just a little bit smaller above these. Okay, so let's get those nice and darkened in. And a slightly smaller one, just above it. Right underneath the ear there. Just like that. There's also a stripe that wraps around the back of his head. But we're only going to see just the end of it kind of coming down on either side of his eyebrows there. So I'll just put those little ends to that stripe right there and there. Now that's looking all pretty good and well. But he's also missing something else that every feline has. What's that?
Whiskers.
Whiskers. Well, we don't have enough room for it to include his tail in this drawing. But whiskers for sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Just like that. Now that I've got that all done, I'm going to take my pencil and turn it sideways and shade in that nose. A nice dark shade. You can cover a lot of ground using this technique, this sideways Crayola kind of technique here. Once you have done that, you will have finished your drawing of the ever so bouncy, ever so confident Tigger. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and sign my Panthera tigris, that's the Latin terminology for this creature, 2026. For the zoologists in the coop. All right. Hey, how did everybody do? All right, that was a pretty warm response. Well, Tigger here and I would like to see how your drawings turned out. So let's have an art show. I'm going to count to 3, and on 3, everybody hold up your drawings. Are you ready? Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Woo-hoo-hoo! Very good. I love it. You guys did great. I love this Tigger sketchbooks. A lot of nice shading there. Great job. Excellent. I love the sketchbooks. Man, people are like coming here with the intention of visiting us, and that's just so exciting. Wow, you guys did great! My goodness, the kids did amazing. The adults did pretty good. My kid, you all did wonderful. Give yourselves a great big round of applause. You deserve it. And you ready to bounce back over there up on the shelf? Okay, well, we'll put you away. But did you guys have fun? I know me and Tigger did. I'm going to grab this guy and bounce on out of here, and hopefully we'll see you all back here before too long for another class. Until we do, this class is dismissed. Have a great day, everyone.
Big round of applause for your artist Thomas, everyone. Thank you so much, Thomas.